with a new session on Conversations on AI, a haptic initiative for the world's leading minds to exchange thoughts around the business of AI. Our guest today is leading a team of world-class thinkers, doers, and disruptors for India's largest licensed e-pharmacy, where he oversees the firm's communications and its multi-channel customer interactions. We are extremely excited to welcome Bruce Schwack, Chief Communication Officers at Netmeds.com. We would love to hear a bit more about yourself, Bruce.
Great. Thanks, Priyanka. And first of all, let me thank you not only for having me here today, but also thank you and the entire Haptic team for helping us grow Netmeds and for helping us to provide what we believe is a superior level of customer satisfaction. It's our goal. It's our reason for existence. And as we'll get into more along the way, Haptic is becoming a more and more important part of that effort. And we believe we're succeeding, and we believe that Haptic is part of that reason. As I often say when I do various, engagements like this, interviews, speaking opportunities, my endorsement is one that can't be bought. It can only be earned. And you guys have certainly earned it and continue to. We continue to build bridges to better customer service as we together experiment and try new things and see how far we can push the AI envelope together. Also, by way of further introduction to me, I can tell you I have been in customer service officially since 1998, when I began operating my own call centers in the United States. Eventually, I kind of migrated my experience and my technology to India and built over 50 BPO contact centers all over India. Those were in the very early days when the American ear was not at all attuned to the Indian voice. Things have changed so dramatically 20 years later that if you're an American and you talk to your bank, if you talk to your credit card company, if you talk to your mobile phone company, you're very likely talking to an Indian, and a very smart, well-spoken Indian at that. So I'm proud to have been a part of that kind of initial push into CS. Now, since 2015, I've had the really incredibly rewarding experience of directing my energy and my knowledge toward providing the same level of customer service from Indians to Indians, as we together launched Netmeds and became and continues to be the first and leading online pharmacy. So that's what brings us here today, and that's the background that I bring to this discussion.
Amazing. Really, really excited. And I think for anyone who doesn't already know, you should hit up netmeds.com and definitely see the rich offering there. I'm going to dive into some of the questions we have for today. Now, going by the theme of our discussion, which is Netmeds and the future of medicine, what is the future outlook for the e-pharmacy market? And how do you think the online-offline pharmacy collaboration plays a role in this future?
Okay, so the future of online pharmacy is really, I see it as a more expansive future, as online pharmacy really is evolving as we speak into online health and wellness, online overall care for the patient. And it's almost like, as we watch this evolution, it's like growing up in America. I witnessed personally the little pharmacy becoming the Walgreens superstore, where you go in for your prescription, and while you're waiting, you find just a wealth of interesting things that you'll fill your cart with supplements and with personal hygiene and beauty products. and with fitness products. And now, even, and as is happening here, you may go for some diagnostics in the same store. So all of that is playing out as we speak, as customers are driven to online pharmacy. Once they get there, they find that Netmeds is a health and wellness superstore.
Yeah.
That you can get your prescription medicine and continue to shop for so many things. And that's really, that's the analogy that I see in play here, is that online pharmacy is evolving into online health, wellness, and diagnostics.
Sure. No, that's a great parallel that you drew. I want to get a little more specific about Netmeds' role or pie in this larger health and wellness market, where the Indian e-health sector is expected to become a $16 billion opportunity by 2025 and growing at a CAGR of a 68%. How does Netmeds see itself capturing this bigger pie in the market?
Well, we are going to follow the mantra that leaders lead. So we will continue to be out front. By many metrics, we are the leader now. By other metrics, we will always be part of the top three. And when you talk about a market this size, it's almost like being at the Olympics. You certainly want to win gold, but winding up on that podium in the top three is never going to be a bad thing. So while our plan is to be out front, we believe we are, but at the very least, we're getting a very large share of the future pie.
Great.
And you know what? I wanted to add one thing too, that when we were starting before to talk about it, I forgot to add this. One of the interesting things about overall wellness and the health of the nation, when we were lobbying to get online pharma approved, one of the predictions we made was this: that in order to avail of the convenience of ordering medicine online, you must have a valid prescription.
Right.
And what we portended was that this was going to drive people to see doctors and to get prescriptions. And that has turned out to be so true. We actually have people getting prescriptions for the very first time, because what happens very often, especially in India, you'll have what I call familial diagnosis. My dad, he was diabetic, so I better just start taking diabetes medicine. I know what he took. I'll just order the same thing. So we have really pushed a lot of people into seeing a doctor, talking to a doctor, many for the first time. And as a result, we're also amassing this first time ever prescription-driven database, so that we're actually knowing what medicine millions and millions of people are consuming regularly. So that's all part of this, online pharma picture.
No, definitely. I mean, super interesting. I wanted to know a bit more on when you spoke about, how you want to be at the forefront of capturing a bigger pie in the entire market. What are some of the key metrics that your team or that Netmeds generally looks at, and how do you plan to accomplish them?
Well, there's two sides to the growth equation. And the growth equation is usually looked at in terms of marketing spend. Everybody wants to spend a bundle, drive that traffic, get on TV. And again, we are, leading the pack with Kareena Kapoor, our newest brand rep, IPL TV campaign, which was very effective. And of course, That
Yeah.
kind of took a little break. Um, but anyway, so the marketing spend is always looked at the way to get really big, really fast. But along with that is this customer service side, which is all about retaining the base.
Sure.
Now you've got a customer, he's made his first order, he's jumped into this market. How do you keep him? Well, the way you keep them is through great CS. And that is, what our goal is. So the marketing side, they're going to keep awareness high. They'll do all the big spending. On the other side at CS here, we'll make sure that we continue to rub the customer's head and make sure he's fine and do all the things that provide not just an okay experience, but a really a delightful, gratifying experience that push people to rate us really high. In terms of metrics, I think we've talked about this before, but one of the metrics that I look at every day is NPS, the Net Promoter Score. And we, again, like our partnership with Haptic, I don't mind at all saying that we have a fantastic partnership with a company formerly known as CloudCherry. And CloudCherry has now become Cisco WebEx. CloudCherry was bought by Cisco. But the important thing is CloudCherry lets me see every day what my customers say about every touch point.
Sure.
They went to the web. They made a product selection. They made a payment. They got their delivery. They spoke to a CS agent in between all that. Each time they touch Netmeds, I ask them, how was that? And you know how MPS works. The ones that love you versus the ones that hate you. And during the first lockdown, we actually were notified by Cisco that we had achieved the highest NPS of any e-commerce company in the country. We scored 78. Now, bear in mind, some companies never get over 50 because it's very difficult. People that hate you are happy to respond to the survey.
Yeah.
People that, yeah, it's okay. I ordered medicine. I got it on time. So what? I don't have time to give you a 5-star. So getting the ones to actively answer that survey and say, you guys are great. I'm definitely telling my friends and relatives. That's the only way to get a high score, is to have more of those than you have that say, you guys suck. I'll never use you again. So anyway, at the height of the pandemic, the first lockdown, we scored 78. Then second lockdown, it fell. We got as low as 54, but now today we're back up to 73. So that's a metric that I'm keeping an eye on all the time. And you can actually see where the bad scores, where are the detractors, and what's the problem? How do we tighten that up?
Right. No, great. I think it is so important, more than just customer acquisition. I think more and more retention and repeats have become so much more important as metrics to track, and hence NPS, because you're not providing that delightful experience, and it massively impacts a customer coming back to buy from you. Even if your product is fantastic, it'll just deter them to make that purchase from your platform.
Yep.
I would love to know how
just along those lines is, in between their delivery and their next purchase, they're going to get flooded with offers from your competitors. So it's really important that experience resonate. But you know what else we're seeing about Indian consumers is they are just showing their gratitude because they all know it's lockdown. But again, one guy can complain to high hell that he didn't get his shampoo, and the other guy can praise you to the end of the earth because he got his blood pressure medicine. So it's a funny thing to be witnessing.
Sure. I would love to know, how do you envision AI, and especially conversational AI, playing a role in Netmeds' achievement of the outcomes of all the goals that we just discussed?
Yeah, well, I see it as the path to unlimited growth that will parallel unlimited customer satisfaction. And again, we talked about my background, and I came here, and over the years, I have trained and employed thousands, I mean thousands of customer service executives. And there will always be an important role for the live human agent who needs to exhibit a high degree of empathy, understanding, patience, kindness. But again, those will be the rare cases. What we're finding is that a well-trained AI bot, like our Netmeds little Nettie bot, um, she's willing to learn anything you'll teach her. And the more you teach, the more excellent she becomes at satisfying customers' needs for information on a first call basis. Um, so, like I say, we will always honor the role of the live human agent, but we see AI bots as critical to growth. You simply cannot expand and have enough live agents to cater to a multi-million customer base. It just will never happen. But we're finding that, as I say, that a well-trained, well-educated bot who has access to deep knowledge through APIs can deliver that to the customer quickly. And a one call resolution is what we want and what the customer wants. And again, we talked about how in the early days when Indians would call Americans, and many of them would say, "Oh, what the hell are you talking about? I can't understand you." Well, I'm seeing the same parallel with bots. People who told me a year ago, "Get rid of that bot thing. I don't like that at all," are now saying, "Hey, you know what? I used that new bot. It was really quick and efficient." So I'm seeing the same kind of evolution. If you can see my parallel between I don't want to talk to that kind of person and I don't want to deal with artificial intelligence, it is becoming and will be the standard for customer business communication.
Sure, no, I mean, of course, cannot agree more, especially being on the
Yeah,
high tech side
of
of the
course, you cannot agree more.
yeah. I think on that, I would also like to know, as conversational AI is evolving, there is a very huge role that voice is playing, even in voice commerce. So, I have some data around a 2019 US survey that found about 45% of millennials had used voice technology like a Google Home or Amazon's Alexa to conduct some kind of shopping activity. Do you see that shift of focus towards adoption of voice commerce in India?
Well, yeah, I envision an Indian relaxing and calling out, "Hey, Alexa, play my." So,
Sure.
but for sure, the easier the better. And I think that, of course, millennials, they're turning out to be, very tuned in and also very lazy. So, yeah, the easier the better. But again, we'll all adapt to that. And I think I told you guys the story in a previous conversation about my mother, who's 96, saying, "Take that laptop away from me. I will never use a laptop." And now suddenly I can't get on Words with Friends because she's already got 6 games in progress with people all over the world. So I
Yeah.
think the same thing's going to happen. You and me and everybody are going to start finding out that, hey, this voice ordering thing actually works. I really can just say, "Hey, Alexa, renew my prescription at Netmeds." And, between Alexa and you guys, And us guys, we will figure out how to translate that voice order into an order and make the whole thing seamless. I for certain see that as happening.
Yeah.
And you better
Well,
make it.
yeah, of course, we have to.
Hey, that reminds me of another thing too. When we were talking about AI and the future of customer service, one thing that we didn't talk about, but we should also mention that I think everybody is familiar with the chatbots now that are highly educated and you know, I am a customer at many of your customers, and of course have the experience of getting very efficient bot service. But I think we should also mention that we are starting to push the envelope, and we're going to start letting Nettie's Nettie's disciples answer our email, and that is
yes.
just around the corner, and we're all very excited to see about that because, as you guys know, what typically happens in email today is you send an email to any company and they say, "Hey, we got your email. You'll hear from us in 24 hours."
Sure.
And that's, it's like 50% gratifying.
Sure.
At least I know you got my email. But how about an email that says, "Hey, we just got your email, and by the way, we see your delivery is in transit, scheduled for tomorrow." We are not very far away from that happening so that we can report absolutely instantaneous email responses. And together,
Yeah.
we are going to make that happen with you guys.
No, that will be incredible. I think that's one of the things that I always crave for whenever I reach out to a customer support on, especially where's my food order or where's my Amazon delivery. I'm like, can you just automatically track where my order is and start the conversation with that?
Yeah.
Great. I think on the same note, the emphasis on digital transformation has led to opening of new avenues in terms of customer service. And almost every brand is trying to do something or the other. How, does a brand like Netmeds stand out to provide exceptional customer service?
Well, I think that we do it by, combining traditional with cutting edge. The traditional CS values that I have imparted to every customer service agent I've ever trained or worked with or continue to interact with. The customer is right. They're always right. It's just a matter of viewpoint. If you try to become preachy and explain to the customer why they're wrong, you're just never going to win, and you're always going to lose a customer. So this traditional approach of making the customer acknowledging that they are always right and being, a really great listener and being very empathetic. And as I really tell my CS agents, my live agents, and I guess I'll have to tell Nettie the bot. And this is an interesting conundrum to try to get Nettie to understand this. Imagine that you are talking to your parents. If you treat the customer the way you treat your parents, everything is going to go well. So it's that traditional approach combined with all this crazy cutting edge innovations that we're talking about. Marrying those two, I think, is a winning philosophy.
Sure. No, that sounds great. I think I also want to extend this to, a big part of a customer feeling delighted is also their order, say, reaching on time and, no issues in the entire end-to-end order management process. And COVID has unfortunately had a huge disruption in pharmaceutical supply chains.
Yes.
How are you guys going about it, and what have been some of the learnings, especially if you've also included technology or AI in the supply chain process, to ensure that such disruptions don't, disrupt your supply chain and hence your customer experience as much?
To that question, I really can only respond as more of an observer than a participant because it's so far out of my ballpark. But I do have uh, opinions, and my opinions are that the one thing that it's really made everybody in the industry aware of is that dependence on foreign APIs. And it's really interesting. APIs are not APIs. In our industry, APIs are the devices that reach into the database, but APIs are also active pharmaceutical ingredients. So the APIs, we've been very much dependent on foreign sources. And I think one thing COVID has done is really woken us up to the need for dramatically reviving the internal manufacturing of APIs, and that is being done. I think also on a broader scale, COVID has been so disastrous. Everybody in every industry, I think, has always had something of a disaster recovery plan.
Yeah.
But very often those plans have just sat in the back of the tool shed and gotten rusty. But this time, I think everybody's head is very much out of the sand. And hang on one second.
Sure.
Bonus. I just got a Netmeds delivery. Isn't that funny? So I think that this pandemic phase 2 has really been shocking enough that the powers that be are really taking a look at how do we ensure that we are self-sufficient and never suffer a loss of the ability for our citizens to procure life-saving medicine, and not just COVID vaccines, but all of the regular medicine that people take for chronic ailments. Everybody started looking at the possible faults in the supply side, and those are being corrected dramatically. And I think it's I'm an optimist and always look for the silver lining, but if there is one, I think that's going to be it, is that we will become much more self-sufficient.
No, of course. Again, can't agree more. Bruce, this brings us to the end of the session.
How sad.
Thank you so much for being with us and having such an interesting discussion. On a general note, for all the viewers, I would say to continue watching engaging discussions in the space of business and technology. Subscribe to Conversations on AI. You can also follow our conversation on LinkedIn and Twitter. And please definitely check out netmeds.com.
Hey, now, as one parting comment, and you can edit this out if you want, but what we should try sometime, when the bots are ready, let's have a bot interview me.
Yes, that'll be amazing.